For centuries religion has been used to condition the minds and behavior of people. Since everyone wants freedom and happiness and many turn to religion to find it, the regrettable consequence is that too often the only thing they get is greater enslavement. Rather than mutually respecting and affirming the one and only thing all religions share in common, which is their diverse ways of knowing peace and presence, religious leaders become preoccupied with what distinguishes them in terms of their beliefs, doctrines, viewpoints, and so on. Whenever they do, which is most of the time, it isn't long before they begin insisting that their beliefs are right and by implication the beliefs of others are wrong. The Ku Klux Klan has been around for over 100 years. Their fierce religious bigotry and xenophobia appealed to millions of Americans. With changing times and civil laws their activity lessened. Now that the current American White House reeks of that same negative energy, those with the Klan mentality were rejuvenated. We have some citizens in our midst who act out righteousness in their idea of supremacy. Behaviors such as these are just that, human behaviors. Their Bible is a tool to control the behavior of others. They find kindred spirits and they form groups, give their groups a name, create their rules. They will use fear, hate, and intimidation to exert control of the people in their group. If people don't agree with their belief system, then they are unworthy and vilified. Men in the KKK don't marry for love, they marry for DNA. They don't love children, they just want their lineage to continue. They condition their daughters to serve their role in the KKK. Teach them to serve their husbands. Lowering their daughters to a tool to be used and abused. They continue to pass on their illness to every one of their children, and their children will pass it on to theirs. Forfeiting their life and freedom to be enslaved by ignorance. These are the women that read the Bible every day, take every word literally. These are the women that don't protect their daughters from incest. The women that sweep it under the carpet. These are the women that don't protect their daughters or their sons from getting a severe punishment when they anger daddy. These parents also try to dictate their child's education. Some will homeschool them out of fear that their child will learn just how ignorant the parents are. It's so much easier to control their child if they don't have as much social interactions. Gangs like to consider themselves outlaws, living on the outskirts of civilization. Gangs don't bring attention to themselves as a rule, but here they are rallying, carrying signs, interfering in protests and our civilian business. I find it questionable because gangs follow rules, and one of those rules is don't bring unnecessary attention to the gang. They too are authoritarian, because the leader and his officers keep a tight rein on the gang members. Lesser status members jump when they are called, do what they are ordered. One of them breaks one of the rules set by the higher patched members, they suffer punishment. Authoritarian personality is a state of mind or attitude characterized by belief in absolute obedience or submission. Totalitarianism and fascism are forms of authoritarianism, which is governance by an authority without the option of questioning whatever the authority orders. A chief feature of the authoritarian mind is a dominant negative attitude. They display a defensive and potentially destructive pattern of thinking, feeling, and acting. The manipulator knows to target people's ideals such as Christianity. He will focus on their obsessions and convince them that their beliefs are in jeopardy. He will manipulate them to create disturbances such as anti-abortion rallies. This is to trigger the citizens opposed to anti-abortionists in order to create chaos. The manipulator does this to take the focus off himself, so that he can continue with his personal agenda. This year's federal election is the most important one. It will determine if you love Canada enough to not let the negative intentions of Andrew Scheer, Maxime Bernier, and Stephen Harper take over our government. If they do, we can say goodbye to a life of quality in Canada.